I'm not above the law. No one is. But we don't want to live in a society where Lady Justice has one eye open and winks at her friends and casts evil eye at her adversaries. Where will they stop? At the point where we stop them. We won't let them shame us. We won't let them intimidate us. We're going to start telling the true story of America.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Steve Malzberg Show. I'm Joe Concha, filling in for Steve today, and our next guest has been a fixture on Newsmax TV over the past year. He's had a 25-year career as a writer, scholar, public intellectual, and even served in the Reagan White House. He is a multiple New York Times best-selling author, and his movies have grossed well over, get this, $40 million. His latest film, America, will be released on DVD and digital download on October 28th. He also just recently pled guilty to a single felony count that he used straw donors to make an illegal contribution to a friend. This comes after what many said was a politically motivated witch hunt, many including Alan Dershowitz. Yesterday, federal district court judge Richard M. Brennan sentenced him to 5 years of probation, including 8 months in something called a community confinement center in San Diego, and fined him $30,000. That man is Dinesh D'Souza, and he joins me down, unfortunately, by phone. We thought we'd have Dinesh in here, but couldn't quite get him in here live. Dinesh, thanks for joining us. Guys, I don't hear Dinesh. One moment. Lost him. Okay, we lost Dinesh. Okay, no worries. So this is what we call in TV stretching. So I'm going to talk until we get Dinesh back. Let you get you up to speed on Dinesh D'Souza's on his sentencing. It was to a community confinement center. Boy, that sounds Orwellian, doesn't it? For 8 months. It was supposed to be, or at least prosecutors were aiming for something more like 10 to 16 months, and at least a community confinement center, from what we understand, it's so ambiguous. He will be able to go back and forth a little bit. Also, while he's in that confinement center, D'Souza has mentioned that he will be teaching English as well to new students of the country. So that's a good thing he'll be doing within those confines. But just a couple of points on Mr. D'Souza in terms of his film career, and this is pretty remarkable. His last film, on President Obama, went for $2.5 million. That was the budget that was spent, and it actually grossed over $33 million. So I understand we have Mr. D'Souza back on the phone. Dinesh, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Steve, always a pleasure. Good to be on the show.
Yeah, I'm actually filling in for Steve, so we haven't met before, but my name's Joe Concha, and I've seen your movies.
So, Joe, my apologies. How are you?
No worries, sir. So are you calling from the ambiguously labeled community confinement center right now?
No, that's probably why our connection has been so shaky, my friend. No, I'm not.
Right.
Look, all of this only happened yesterday. I'm still in New York. I'm actually calling from a very, very nice hotel in New York. But I'm very relieved with the outcome of the sentencing. I feel he was facing a government very keen on locking me up for 10 to 16 months, and he said no.
Well, let's make that clear that, yeah, this wasn't some conservative judge that lessened your sentence. This was actually a Clinton appointee, correct?
Yes, a Clinton appointee, and a judge with a reputation for being very careful, very fair. In fact, interestingly, at the sentencing itself, he began with a rather stern sort of castigation of me that seemed to last, it seemed for me to last a day, but it was probably more like an hour, and my heart sank. I thought I was actually in for it. But as the two attorneys made their statements, I got to speak for a few minutes and kind of explain. The judge asked me, he goes, well, why'd you do it? He goes, it's so strange. You're a successful guy. You worked in the White House. You've written books and made movies. What made you do something that was so, reckless and so self-destructive? And I tried to answer that question by pointing out that as an immigrant, I'd left my family, my whole world behind, and my Dartmouth pals, including Wendy Song, were kind of like family to me. And so in a sense, this wasn't a normal case where I was just given to a campaign. I felt a kind of almost a moral obligation to help her when her campaign was in difficulty, financial difficulty, and I did it the wrong way.
The spotlight on you, and given that you have gone after this administration, and given that this administration has acted Putinian, is that a word? Very, in terms of targeting opponents, you know, and the irony that you're facing more penalties than, say, a Lois Lerner. I'm surprised you didn't take pause a little bit more before, and let me explain exactly to the folks at home that understand what Mr. D'Souza was sentenced to. He donated $10,000 to a campaign of a friend of a Senate against the law. So, you know, in retrospect, I'm sure you'd say, hey, boy, I'd never do that again. But knowing that you could be a target, I'm surprised you even went ahead with that plan in the first place.
Well, this is the point. The truth of it is it sometimes happens with people who are focused on one thing, and that is you become negligent of some other thing. You know, you can think, for example, about people who are super busy at work and neglect their family. They don't mean to. It makes no sense. In fact, might end up costing them more money in the long run, but they're a little blindsided by it. And similarly, in my case, I was running a college. I was absorbed with the film 2016. My friend Wendy was calling me, can you come to a fundraiser? Can you do this? Can you do that? And I was thinking, gee, how the heck can I help her without having to go to a fundraiser in Westchester County on Long Island when I'm in Dallas? And so I just took the shortcut. Had I called a lawyer, set up a PAC, $25,000 in one shot. So I just
and you weren't trying to curry favor here. Let's make that clear, Dinesh. Mm-hmm.
No, and in my case, I wasn't. I was trying to get nothing out of this. In fact, I felt, you know, quite sure that my friend would lose, but I just wanted to help her in a difficult campaign.
I understand. And we're a little low on time. I do want to point out that Alan Dershowitz, who is by no means conservative in any capacity, even says that the prosecutors certainly went after you far more aggressively than what is normally done here. Normally, it's just a fine, basically. And there is no anything resembling prison time. So, you know, in short, and we only have about 30 seconds, or 60 seconds, excuse me, was this an attempt to muzzle you going into, not so much these midterms, obviously, but the 2016 election year, where if you're in prison, you're not talking, you're not making movies, and therefore you're not going to have any effect on any votes in any capacity?
Yeah, the prosecutors wanted a prison sentence of 10 to 16 months. Now imagine if they had gotten in the middle of that, let's say 13 months. That would have taken me from now till the end of next year, 2015. And there's absolutely no way I could have produced a film in the summer of 2016 before the election. That would be just a virtual impossibility. So in that sense, I would have been muzzled, or at least shut up, obstructed from being able to do anything productive like that. Happily, my faith in America, in the judicial system, and the independence of the judiciary is affirmed because a judge didn't go along with that.
Yes, and just quickly, so you do have plans for a movie in the summer of 2016. Any preview you want to give on that as far as who that's going to focus on? 10 seconds.
I wish I could, but I've been so absorbed with my legal difficulties that I haven't been able to give any thought to it yet. So I'm literally just clearing the desk and opening up the drawing board, so to speak, to start thinking ahead now. And I'm really glad that I'm at a point where I can do that.
Thank you, sir. Well, Dinesh, we appreciate you joining us, albeit by phone, and good luck with everything moving forward. And hey, we appreciate you coming on the show. We'll be back with the best of 5. Give me 5 after the break. But first, here is this hour's American moment. Stay tuned.
When Saigon, the capital of South Vietnam, fell on the 30th of April, 1975, America's long conflict there may have ended, but it took decades for the nation to heal its wounds. In 1973, President Nixon orchestrated the Paris Peace Accords, bringing to an end America's involvement in the Vietnam War. America's POWs returned home, and all seemed well until March of 1975, when Senator Ted Kennedy led Congress in cutting off all aid to South Vietnam. Within weeks, Communist North Vietnam reneged on the peace accords and invaded their neighbors to the south. Without U.S. support, South Vietnam fell to the Communists, and throughout South Vietnam, a bloodbath ensued as hundreds of thousands of South Vietnamese who had backed the U.S. were massacred. Empowered by the events in Vietnam, Communists in Laos and Cambodia soon toppled their pro-Western regimes, and Southeast Asia became a killing field, with the genocide of an additional 2 million people. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.